One of the newest Saluki Hall of Famers is Hubie Dunn, who in gymnastics and a stellar coaching career. He passed in February at age 94, February of a year ago. And among his relatives at his induction to the Saluki Hall of Fame this weekend is his nephew, John Dunn, former SIU chancellor, now the current president of Western Michigan.
Yeah.
Welcome, sir. Good to see you. And
Good.
what does Hubie's induction mean to the family?
Oh, a great deal. And, you know, some might lament the fact that he's no longer on this earth, and sure we do. But on the other hand, I think he would take great pride knowing that not only his family remember him, but also SIU, and he was very fond of this university.
What did he ever tell you about several things? First of all, competing at SIU. Did he ever share anything about competing in gymnastics in the 40s?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course he was particularly strong in the parallel bars, the long horse, flying rings at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and of course an excellent tumbler. But what I have thought about many times, I never pursued vigorously with him. He came from Pinckneyville, right? And even when I was a student many years later at Pinckneyville High School, community high school, I don't remember ever seeing a piece of gymnastics equipment.
That's a good point.
It was all about basketball.
So how did he get good?
Well, he was a very good tumbler, and when he came here, he realized that that he was a good tumbler, but he also was an excellent athlete, and he just gravitated to the sport. And of course, he was here in 1939 to 43, but parallel bars, he was an All-American on parallel bars, and you ask about interesting stories about competing. I mean, literally to get some of the meets, those guys would hitchhike.
Yeah.
I mean, they'd sit on a suitcase and hitchhike. You know? But they loved the sport, you know, and they wanted to
different
compete.
world. Where are you going, son? Well, you know, maybe you heard of me. I'm a Division I gymnast, and I'm hitching to the game. Would he have thought? No, not would he have thought. Would he have said, "Yeah, I wonder if they still remember me"? Because I mean, that's and some of what he's going into the Hall for were his successes as a coach.
Yeah.
Too. So you think maybe Southern forgot him?
Maybe a little bit, and you know, we can get into all of that. But I think the really good news is that thanks to Tommy Bell and some people who personally knew John Hubert, really understood the fabric and the caliber of the individual and what he did when he left. D. Giovanni was his coach, and so he goes to the military, serves in the Navy because it was during the war. He's on the USS Shubrick, and then he has this opportunity to go to Washington State University, and D. Giovanni was the coach there, and D. Giovanni had an SIU connection. Okay, and so then ultimately he became the coach from 47 to actually 62. He's really truly known as the father of gymnastics in the Pacific Northwest. So you go to Washington, certainly Oregon, Idaho, Montana. He took teams and they introduced people to this sport called gymnastics. And I know one year there were 58,000 individuals who actually saw his teams perform as they did these high school visits and these community visits. And he was passionate about the sport and loved it.
Do you recall him as a coach? Do you recall him speaking a lot about, did he take a lot of pride in his coaching?
Yeah, well, I was a student at Northern Illinois University when he went there in 1962. I entered there as a freshman in 63. Literally, here's this guy who's at the pinnacle of the coaching profession, highly regarded, respected, and he goes to Northern Illinois. They'd won 2 matches in the previous 3 years, right? The athletes are actually, the mats are actually on dirt.
Wow.
And he walked into that to try and bring that up, and he did it very well. Not only were they competing against Illinois and Minnesota, they were beating Illinois and Minnesota. So I was not a gymnast, but I loved my uncle. I wanted to be around the sport. I think one of my highest achievements was falling down a flight of stairs somewhere, carrying some equipment to help the team. But I loved the guy, he loved me, and it was just a great.
His daughter's pretty happy.
Yes, yeah, they're
Family's
very
pretty happy about this.
Oh, very, very.
Been in
happy.
a lot of. He's in a lot of Hall of Fames.
He's in a lot of Hall of.
This isn't just another one.
I think this is number 7.
Yeah.
You know, and what he did for the sport of gymnastics. A little story about SIU. He was here during the time that the trampoline was introduced. He was the first guy to ever get on a trampoline
right?
at SIU Carbondale. He was either brave enough or you know, courageous. I don't know, but he got on it, and he talked about that a little bit in terms of his experiences.
Cool. Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, John.
Hey.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. It's great to be here. So.
John Dunn speaking on behalf of Hubie Dunn and Hubie's family on his induction to the Saluki Hall of Fame.
Yeah.